There's a moment that separates those who break from those who bend. It happens in the split second after life hits you with something devastating. A betrayal, a failure, a loss so profound it feels like the ground has opened beneath your feet. In that moment, two people facing identical circumstances will respond in completely opposite ways. One crumbles, spirals, loses themselves in the chaos. They become a victim of their circumstances, forever defined by what happened to them. The other? They absorb the impact. They feel the pain fully, but something inside them remains unbroken, unshakable. They bend under the weight, but they don't break. What's the difference? It's not strength. It's not luck. It's not even courage. It's psychological bulletproofing. Right now, as you listen to this, your mind is either your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. It's either protecting you from the inevitable storms of life, or it's making you vulnerable to every hit, every criticism, every setback. Here's the brutal truth. Life will test you. It will throw everything it has at your mental armor. Your relationships will be tested. Your career will face setbacks. People will disappoint you. Your body will fail you. Loss will find you. The question isn't whether these things will happen. The question is, when they do, will you shatter or will you stand? Welcome to the Book Nook. This is how to become psychologically bulletproof. Over the next 20 minutes, you're going to discover the 7 pillars of unshakable mental resilience. These aren't motivational platitudes. These are battle-tested principles that separate people who survive from people who thrive in the face of adversity. You're going to learn how to build a mind so resilient that criticism bounces off it, so stable that chaos can't shake it, so strong that failure becomes fuel instead of poison. By the end of this journey, you won't be invincible, but you'll be something better, unbreakable. Your psychological armor starts forming now. Let me tell you about 2 soldiers who went through the same hell. Both were captured. Both endured months of torture. Both witnessed things that would haunt most people for life. Both returned home to the same country, the same support systems, the same opportunities for recovery. 5 years later, one is broken, nightmares, addiction, unable to hold a job or maintain relationships, still imprisoned by what happened, even though the physical chains are gone. The other, he's thriving, not because he forgot what happened, not because it didn't affect him, but because he built something inside himself that trauma couldn't destroy. What was the difference? Psychological researchers spent decades studying this question. They looked at prisoners of war, Holocaust survivors, people who lost everything in natural disasters, individuals who faced unspeakable abuse. And they discovered something remarkable. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. They called it psychological immunity. Just like your body can build immunity to disease, your mind can build immunity to psychological damage. Think about that. Your mind can actually be trained to withstand impacts that would destroy an untrained mind. But here's what most people don't understand. Becoming psychologically bulletproof isn't about not feeling pain. It's not about becoming cold or emotionless. It's not about pretending bad things don't hurt. It's about building internal structures so strong that when life hits you, you can absorb the impact without permanent damage. It's about developing mental flexibility so you can bend without breaking. It's about creating psychological shock absorbers that let you feel everything deeply while remaining fundamentally intact. The people who are psychologically bulletproof aren't the ones who never get hit. They're the ones who've been hit repeatedly and learned how to stay standing. They're not numb. They're resilient. They're not invulnerable. They're anti-fragile. And starting today, that's what you're going to become. Pillar 1. The foundation of radical acceptance. The first pillar of psychological bulletproofing is the hardest to build, but it's the foundation everything else rests on. Radical acceptance. Most people spend their entire lives fighting reality. Something bad happens, and their first response is, "This shouldn't be happening. This isn't fair. Why me?" And in that resistance, they create a second layer of suffering on top of the original pain. The event hurts. But the refusal to accept the event hurts even more. Listen carefully. Radical acceptance doesn't mean you like what's happening. It doesn't mean you approve of it or that you won't work to change it. It means you stop wasting energy denying reality. Think about it like this. You're in a shipwreck. The ship is sinking. You have two choices. Choice 1. Stand on the deck, screaming, "This shouldn't be happening. Ships aren't supposed to sink. This is unfair," as you go down with the vessel. Choice 2. Accept that the ship is sinking and immediately start swimming toward survival. Both people are in the same situation, but only one survives. Psychological bulletproofing starts with accepting what is, not what should be. Here's what radical acceptance looks like in real life. You get fired. Your first thought isn't, "This is the worst thing ever," or "My life is ruined." It's, "This is now my reality. What do I do with it?" Someone betrays you. Instead of spiraling into, "How could they do this?" you shift to, "They did this. It happened." Now what? You face a diagnosis, a loss, a failure. The psychologically bulletproof person doesn't deny or catastrophize. They acknowledge, "This is real. This is happening. I will deal with it." This is the practice. When something painful happens, give yourself 5 minutes to feel whatever you feel. Scream if you need to, cry if you must, but then consciously shift your internal dialogue from "Why is this happening to me?" to "This is happening. What's my next move?" From "This is unfair" to "This is reality. How do I adapt?" From "I can't believe this" to "I accept this is true. What do I do now?" The moment you stop arguing with reality is the moment you become psychologically bulletproof. Because here's the secret. Reality doesn't care about your protests. The universe isn't waiting for you to accept something before it moves forward. But you can't move forward until you accept what is. Radical acceptance is your foundation. Build it strong, because everything else depends on it. Stop fighting reality. Accept what is, not what should be. Your power begins where your resistance ends. Pillar 2. The identity separation. The second pillar is learning to separate what happens to you from who you are. Most people have an identity that's incredibly fragile. They've built their sense of self on achievements, relationships, roles, possessions, and other people's opinions. I am successful because I have this job. I am lovable because this person loves me. I am valuable because I achieved this thing. I am worthy because people respect me. This is psychological quicksand. Because the moment any of those external things disappear, and they will, your entire identity collapses. You lose the job, and you lose yourself. The relationship ends, and you don't know who you are anymore. You fail at something, and your entire self-worth evaporates. Psychologically bulletproof people build their identity on something that can't be taken away: their core values and their character. Let me tell you about a CEO who lost everything. His company went bankrupt. His reputation was destroyed. His wealth evaporated. His friends disappeared. Most people would have jumped off a bridge, but when asked how he survived it, he said something profound. I didn't lose who I am. I lost what I had. Those are two different things. His identity wasn't successful businessman. His identity was someone who faces challenges with integrity. That identity couldn't be taken from him. This is the shift. You are not your circumstances. You are not your achievements. You are not your failures. You are not other people's opinions of you. You are your values in action. You are how you respond when tested. You are your character when no one's watching. You are your integrity when it costs you something. This creates psychological bulletproofing, because when external things fall apart, and they will, you remain intact. Here's the practice. Write down 5 external things you've built your identity on. Your job title, your relationship status, your achievements, your appearance, your social status. Now ask yourself, if I lost all of these tomorrow, who would I still be? The answer to that question is your real identity. That's what you need to strengthen. When someone criticizes you and your identity is external, it feels like annihilation. But when your identity is internal, criticism is just information. It might be accurate, it might not be, but it doesn't threaten who you are. When you fail at something and your identity is tied to success, you feel like you are the failure. But when your identity is tied to your character, failure is just an event. You failed at something. You are not a failure. This separation is armor. It means life can throw anything at you, but the core of who you are remains protected. You are not what happens to you. You are how you respond to what happens to you. Build your identity on character, not circumstances. Pillar 3, the pain processing protocol. The third pillar of psychological bulletproofing is learning to process pain instead of avoiding it. Most people run from emotional pain like it's poison. They distract themselves, numb themselves, deny it, suppress it, medicate it, or pretend it doesn't exist. But here's what happens when you avoid pain. It doesn't disappear. It just goes underground and grows stronger. Unprocessed pain becomes trauma. It becomes anxiety. It becomes depression. It becomes addiction. It becomes rage. Psychologically bulletproof people have learned something counterintuitive. You have to move through pain, not around it. Think of emotional pain like a tunnel. The only way out is through. Every attempt to avoid it just keeps you trapped at the entrance, stuck in the same suffering. But when you face it directly, when you walk into it with eyes open, something remarkable happens. You discover it has an end. You come out the other side, and you're stronger for having made the journey. Here's the pain processing protocol. Step 1, name it. What exactly am I feeling? Not I feel bad. Be specific. I feel humiliated. I feel abandoned. I feel worthless. Naming removes some of its power. Step 2, feel it fully. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Let yourself feel it completely. No distraction, no escape, just you and the feeling. Breathe through it. Let it wash over you. It's intense, but it won't kill you. Step 3, question it. Is this feeling based on facts or interpretation? Am I feeling this way because of what happened, or because of the story I'm telling about what happened? Step 4, extract the lesson. What is this pain trying to teach me? What boundary did I fail to set? What red flag did I ignore? What expectation was unrealistic? Step 5, integrate and release. Thank the pain for the information it provided. Then consciously let it go. Not suppress it, not ignore it, but genuinely release it because you've processed it. Most people skip straight from pain to distraction. They never actually process it, so it never actually leaves. Psychologically bulletproof people have learned that pain is information. It's data about what matters to you, where your boundaries are, what needs to change. When you process pain instead of avoiding it, You build psychological immunity. Each pain you move through makes you stronger. Each difficulty you process makes you more resilient. You become someone who can handle discomfort because you've proven to yourself repeatedly that you can survive it. This doesn't mean you seek out pain. It means when it comes, and it will, you don't run. You face it, feel it, learn from it, and let it make you stronger. Pain avoided is pain prolonged. Pain processed is power gained. Face it, feel it, learn from it, release it. Pillar 4, the narrative control. The fourth pillar is mastering the story you tell yourself about what happens to you. Every event in your life is neutral until you assign it meaning, and the meaning you assign determines whether that event destroys you or develops you. Two people lose their jobs. Same company, same circumstances, same severance. One tells the story, "I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. I'll never find anything better. My career is over." The other tells the story, "That job wasn't the right fit. This is an opportunity to find something better aligned with my values. This is redirection, not rejection." Same event, completely different psychological impact. Your mind is a meaning-making machine. It's constantly interpreting events and creating narratives. The question is, are you consciously directing those narratives, or are you letting them run on autopilot? Psychologically bulletproof people have learned to be ruthless editors of their internal narrative. Here's how it works. When something bad happens, your brain immediately generates a story about what it means. This story usually includes 3 elements: cause, meaning, and future implications. This happened because I'm inadequate, cause. This means I'm worthless, meaning. This will lead to more failure, future implications. This is the default narrative for most people. It's catastrophic, personal, and permanent. Psychologically bulletproof people interrupt this pattern. They catch the story before it solidifies, and they rewrite it. This happened because circumstances aligned this way, cause. This means I need to adapt my approach, meaning. This will lead to learning and growth if I use it correctly, future implications. The facts are the same. The interpretation is completely different, and the interpretation determines the psychological impact. Here's the practice. When something difficult happens, write down the story your mind automatically created about it. Then deliberately rewrite it. Not with toxic positivity, not with delusion, but with a narrative that serves your growth instead of your destruction. From "this breakup means I'm unlovable" to "this breakup means we weren't compatible and now I'm free to find better alignment." From "this failure proves I'm inadequate" to "this failure provides data about what doesn't work so I can find what does." From "this betrayal means people can't be trusted" to "this betrayal means I need better discernment about who I trust." Notice, you're not denying what happened. You're refusing to accept a narrative that makes you powerless. The most psychologically destructive narratives are the ones that make you a victim with no agency. The most bulletproof narratives are the ones that preserve your power to respond and adapt. You can't control what happens to you, but you have absolute control over the story you tell about what happens to you. And that story will either make you bulletproof or make you fragile. The story you tell about what happens to you matters more than what actually happens to you. Control your narrative. Control your psychology. Pillar 5, the antifragile mindset. The 5th pillar is developing what philosopher Nassim Taleb calls antifragility, the ability to not just withstand stress, but to actually grow stronger from it. Most people are fragile. Stress breaks them down. Pressure crushes them. Adversity diminishes them. Some people are resilient. They can withstand stress. They bounce back. But they return to their original state. no stronger than before. But psychologically bulletproof people are anti-fragile. They don't just survive stress. They use it as fuel for growth. They come out of difficult experiences stronger, wiser, more capable than before. Your muscles understand this principle perfectly. When you lift weights, you're literally tearing muscle fibers. It's damage. It hurts. But your body doesn't just repair those fibers. It rebuilds them stronger than before, so they can handle greater stress next time. Your psychology works the same way, but only if you let it. Most people protect themselves from all stress, all challenge, all discomfort. They create lives of maximum safety and minimum growth. And their psychology becomes fragile, unable to handle even small setbacks because it's never been tested. Psychologically bulletproof people seek out controlled stress. They deliberately put themselves in challenging situations because they understand that this is how psychological strength is built. They have difficult conversations instead of avoiding conflict. They take on projects that scare them instead of staying comfortable. They face their fears in small doses instead of running from them. They receive criticism openly instead of defensively. Each time they do this, they're lifting psychological weights. And each time, they become stronger. Here's the practice. Identify one area of your life where you've been avoiding stress or discomfort. Then, deliberately expose yourself to it in small, manageable doses. Afraid of public speaking? Speak up in a small meeting. Uncomfortable with confrontation? Address one small issue directly. Anxious about rejection? Ask for something you want. Scared of failure? Try something you might not succeed at. Start small. The goal isn't to overwhelm yourself. It's to prove to yourself that you can handle more than you think. Each time you do this, you're not just surviving the stress. You're building psychological muscle. You're teaching your brain that discomfort is temporary and that you're capable of handling it. Over time, things that used to terrify you become merely uncomfortable. Things that used to overwhelm you become manageable. Your tolerance for psychological stress expands dramatically. This is anti-fragility. This is becoming stronger through adversity, not despite it. Stress is not your enemy. Avoidance is. Seek controlled challenges that make you stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you anti-fragile. The pillar 6, the connection fortress. The sixth pillar is building deep, authentic connections that serve as psychological fortification. Here's something most people don't realize. Isolation is one of the greatest psychological vulnerabilities you can have. When you face adversity alone, your perspective becomes distorted. Your pain feels insurmountable. Your thoughts spiral without correction. But when you have genuine connections, people who truly see you, understand you, and support you, you gain psychological resilience that can't be built any other way. Notice I said genuine connections, not just lots of friends. You can be surrounded by people and still be psychologically isolated. Having 500 followers or 50 acquaintances doesn't make you bulletproof. Having 2 or 3 people who you can be completely real with, that's armor. Psychologically bulletproof people invest in depth, not breadth. They have people they can call at 3 in the morning, people who've seen them at their worst and stayed, people who tell them the truth even when it's uncomfortable, people who believe in them even when they don't believe in themselves. This is the connection fortress. But here's the crucial part. These connections only work if they're authentic. If you're performing, hiding, pretending to be fine when you're not, or keeping up appearances, you're not actually connected. You're just surrounded by people who know your mask, not you. Real connection requires vulnerability. And vulnerability feels dangerous. It feels like the opposite of being bulletproof. But this is the paradox. Vulnerability with the right people actually makes you stronger. It's not weakness. It's strategic openness with trusted allies. When you can say, "I'm struggling," and have someone respond not with judgment but with support, you've just doubled your psychological resources. When you can share your failures and have someone help you learn from them instead of shame you for them, you've gained wisdom you couldn't access alone. When you can admit your fears and have someone believe in you anyway, you've borrowed strength until your own returns. Here's the practice. Identify who's in your connection fortress. Not everyone you know, not everyone you like, but the 2 or 3 people you could be completely honest with. If you can't identify anyone, that's urgent information. Building this fortress needs to become a priority. Start with one person. Practice radical honesty. Share something real. See how they respond. Do they lean in or pull away? Do they meet your vulnerability with judgment or with understanding? The right people will show you through their response. Then, nurture those connections like your psychological life depends on them. Because it does. Check in regularly, not just when you need something. Be present for their struggles too. Reciprocity builds strength into the connection. And here's what happens. When life hits you with something devastating, you don't face it alone. You have people who remind you of your strength when you've forgotten, who help you see clearly when your vision is distorted by pain, who share the psychological load so it doesn't crush you. This isn't dependence, it's strategic alliance. Even the strongest warriors fight alongside others. You cannot become psychologically bulletproof alone. Build a small circle of genuine connections. Vulnerability with the right people is armor, not weakness. Pillar 7, the purpose anchor. The 7th and final pillar is anchoring yourself to purpose, larger than your pain. This is what separates people who survive from people who transcend. When Viktor Frankl was in Nazi concentration camps, he observed something remarkable. Some prisoners gave up and died, even though they weren't the sickest or weakest. Others survived against impossible odds. The difference? The ones who survived had a reason to survive, a purpose that was bigger than their suffering. For some, it was reuniting with loved ones. For others, it was completing important work. For Frankl himself, it was the manuscript hidden in his coat, ideas he needed to share with the world. Their purpose gave them a reason to endure unendurable things. This is the ultimate psychological bulletproofing. When your why is strong enough, you can bear almost any how. Without purpose, every hardship feels pointless. Every setback feels like the end. Every pain makes you question why you're even trying. But with purpose, hardship becomes part of the journey. Setbacks become obstacles to overcome. Pain becomes the price you're willing to pay for something that matters more. Purpose doesn't eliminate suffering, but it transforms suffering from meaningless torture into meaningful sacrifice. Here's what most people get wrong. They think purpose has to be some grand, world-changing mission. It doesn't. Your purpose might be raising children who will contribute to the world. It might be creating art that moves people. It might be building a business that solves problems. It might be supporting others through their darkest moments. The specifics don't matter. What matters is that it's bigger than your immediate comfort. It's something worth suffering for. Psychologically bulletproof people have identified their purpose, and they use it as an anchor when storms come. When everything is falling apart, they ask, "What am I here to do? What matters more than this pain?" And that question gives them strength to continue. Here's the practice. If you don't know your purpose yet, start by asking these questions. What would I do even if no one paid me or praised me for it? What problems in the world do I feel called to help solve? What do I want to be remembered for? If I had 6 months to live, what would I regret not doing? What makes me feel most alive? The answers might not come immediately, but ask the questions regularly. Journal about them. Pay attention to what makes you feel energized versus drained. Your purpose will reveal itself. Once you identify it, write it down. Look at it daily. Use it as your North Star when you're lost. Use it as fuel when you're exhausted. Use it as justification when the cost of pursuing it seems too high. Because here's the ultimate truth about psychological bulletproofing. When you have something worth living for, you become extraordinarily hard to break. Pain can't stop you, because your purpose is more important than your comfort. Failure can't destroy you, because each failure teaches you how to better serve your purpose. Criticism can't wound you, because you're not seeking approval, you're seeking impact. This is the final pillar. This is what makes everything else sustainable. Your purpose is your ultimate armor. When your why is strong enough, you can survive any how. Find what you're living for beyond yourself. So here you are. 7 pillars of psychological bulletproofing. Radical acceptance. Stop fighting reality and start adapting to it. Identity separation. Build yourself on character, not circumstances. Pain processing. Move through pain, not around it. Narrative control. Master the story you tell about what happens to you. Antifragile mindset. Use stress to become stronger. Connection fortress. Build genuine relationships that provide support. Purpose anchor. Find something worth suffering for. These aren't just concepts. These are construction materials for psychological armor. But here's what you need to understand. Knowing these principles doesn't make you bulletproof. Applying them does. Reading about working out doesn't build muscle. Actually lifting weights does. Understanding these pillars intellectually won't protect you when life hits you. Practicing them daily will. This is hard work. It's uncomfortable work. It requires you to do things that feel counterintuitive. Accepting what you want to deny. Feeling what you want to avoid. Facing what you want to run from. But this is how you become unbreakable. Not invincible, not immune to pain, but psychologically bulletproof. Life will still hit you. People will still betray you. Failures will still happen. Loss will still hurt. But you'll absorb the impact. You'll feel it fully, and you'll keep standing. Because you've built something inside yourself that can't be taken away. A core so strong that external circumstances can't crack it. A psychological foundation so solid that storms can't wash it away. You become someone who bends but doesn't break. Someone who feels everything deeply but isn't destroyed by it. Someone who faces adversity and comes out stronger. This is what it means to be psychologically bulletproof. Start today. Pick one pillar and focus on it this week. Practice radical acceptance with one difficult situation. Process one pain you've been avoiding. Rewrite one destructive narrative. Small practices, repeated consistently, build unshakable strength. If this resonated with you, if you're ready to build psychological armor that protects you from life's inevitable hits, then subscribe to the Book Nook. This is where we explore the psychology, philosophy, and practices that create unbreakable minds and unstoppable lives. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Leave a comment about which pillar you're working on first. Because you're not here by accident. You're here because something inside you knows you're capable of becoming stronger than you currently are. You're here because you refuse to be broken by life's challenges. You're here because you're ready to build psychological armor that turns you into someone who doesn't just survive, but thrives no matter what comes. Welcome to your transformation. Welcome to becoming bulletproof. Until next time, stay strong. Stay resilient. Stay unbreakable. There's a moment that separates those who break from those who bend. It happens in the split second after life hits you with something devastating. A betrayal, a failure, a loss so profound it feels like the ground has opened beneath your feet. In that moment, two people facing identical circumstances will respond in completely opposite ways. One crumbles, spirals, loses themselves in the chaos. They become a victim of their circumstances, forever defined by what happened to them. The other? They absorb the impact. They feel the pain fully, but something inside them remains unbroken, unshakable. They bend under the weight, but they don't break. What's the difference? It's not strength. It's not luck. It's not even courage. It's psychological bulletproofing. Right now, as you listen to this, your mind is either your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness.